This is the entire Knights of the Nine quest guide on Oblivion Remastered. So to start off the quest line, the first thing you need to do is come to Anvil, where outside the front of the chapel will be a prophet. If you go over and talk to him, he will talk about a dark force, Umaril, that has returned. If you then ask about questing for the relics, he will give you the quest Pilgrimage, where he will also give you a map of way shrines scattered around Cyrodiil. You then need to find and go to these way shrines, which all look like this. Once you're at the way shrine, if you go over to the middle and then activate, it will allow you to pray. Now you have to do this at all 9 way shrines, where once you have, you will automatically start praying and you will receive a vision from this knight. He will then direct you to the middle of this lake here, where if you dive underwater, you will be able to access Vanua. If you continue through the structure, you'll enter a room with a dead body on the floor here. This is Sir Amil, where you have to loot his body, where you need to make sure you grab his journal, his ring, and the key. Now you need to find the helmet of the Crusader in this dungeon. Now there is a cheese way of getting it, where if you come along this ledge here and jump over this wall, you can just pick it up. However, if you want to use it legitimately, use Sir Amil's key on this door and then progress your way through, where eventually you'll reach the same area and you'll be able to pick up the helmet of the Crusader. Once you exit the dungeon, a marker will be added on your map for the Priory of the Nine. If you go to it, once inside, if you go directly to the left and then use Sir Amil's ring on this symbol here, this will then activate the stairs to a hidden room. Once you're in this room, if you go all the way through and then head to the Undercroft, you will then be able to see the Crusader's cuirass in the back of the room. You won't be able to pick this up yet, however, as a ghost of Sir Amil will spawn. If you then talk to him, you will then have to complete his trial by killing the ghosts of the other Knights of the Nine. Once you've defeated 8 of them, you will then have to defeat Sir Amil himself. Once you do, the cuirass will be unlocked and you'll be able to grab it. You then need to talk to all the ghosts of the Knights of the Nine, where they will tell you the locations of 4 relics, and you will be given 4 different quests. If you then start with Nature's Fury, where if you head over to the waypoint and reach this shrine, if you then talk to Evita, she will then talk about a test that you need to say that you're willing to take. You will then have to come over to this grove, where once you do, a bear will sneak up behind you. For the test, you need to allow the bear to attack you without attacking it back. If you do attack the bear, just go back to Evita and talk to her again and you'll be able to take the test again. Once you have taken a few hits, you would have completed the test, where a secret cave will reveal itself. If you go inside the cave, you will then be able to collect the boots of the Crusader. Now these boots are key for a different mission, so do not get rid of them. Now to complete Wisdom of the Ages, you need to come over to Fort Bulwark, where once inside, if you follow it all the way around until you reach this bridge, where if you go over the bridge, you'll come into this room here with 2 conjurers. Kill them both, where on the table in the corner will be a conjurer's note which tells you how to complete the first puzzle of the fort. If you then activate this lever on the left of the table, this will open up this gate here. If you follow this round, it will take you to another lever that will put down the 2 bridges. If you then go across the bridge, you'll come to this room here with 12 pressure plates. You need to look at the candles on the side to see what pressure plate you need to stand on. So if there's 1 candle, you need to stand on the first one. If there's 3, you need to stand on the third one. The code is the same in every game, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3 and 1. Once you've stepped on the right plates, the gate at the back will open, where if you proceed through, in the first room on the right will be a trapped knight. If you use the lever, you'll be able to release him, where he will then return to the priory. Continue through the fort until you reach this area here, where you want to be careful of the poison darts shooting from the ceiling. They shoot in a specific order from the back to the front. Once you've crossed these 2 bridges, you'll enter this room where there'll be 4 smaller statues and 1 big statue. All the smaller statues have a handle that you can turn. What you need to do is keep on turning the handle until all of the 4 smaller statues are facing the circle in the middle. Once you've done this, the fires in the room will go out and a secret door on the left will open up. If you continue through, you'll enter this room here, which is the final puzzle to get the shield. In the room, along the sides will be 8 smaller chests and in the middle will be 1 big chest. If you go up to the big chest and stand on this pressure plate, inside will be a random item. Once you've taken the item, if you look around the room, one of the chests will be lit up with an item above it, so this one has a helmet above it. What this means is when the big chest eventually gives you that helmet, you need to put it in that specific chest. If you put the wrong item in the wrong chest, it will then reappear in the big chest later on. When you've put the right item in the right chest, the statue behind will turn around so it's facing you. The order is always the same, so starting from the back right, it's going to be the stone, the helmet, the goblet, the sword, the book, the hammer, the skull, and then finally the gem. When you've placed all the items in the right chest, the door behind the big chest will open, where you can follow it through and then pick up the shield of the Crusader. Now moving on to the Path of the Righteous. If you go to the chapel in Leowyn, as you enter, Caradus will start talking to you. If you then go to the chapel's undercroft, you will then be able to go to the tomb in the back of the room, where if you activate it, it will teleport you to where the Crusader's mace is. This will be in the middle of the room with a light bridge leading up to it. If you're not wearing the boots of the Crusader, you will fall through the light bridge. So make sure that you equip them, where you will then be able to walk over the light bridge and claim the mace. As you exit the undercroft, the chapel will be getting attacked, so make sure you kill all of these enemies. Well, we can now move on to Stendarr's Mercy, where you will have to go to Coral's chapel, where once inside, the gauntlets will be at the back of the chapel. However, they will be too heavy for you to be able to pick up. If you then speak to Umaril, he'll talk about a curse, and he will direct you to a man called Kellen. If you then go down to the chapel hall, and then follow it around to the right, you'll be able to talk to Kellen. He will talk about a curse that was placed on his family, where you then want to go back to Umaril and talk to him. So he will say that he has the ability to lift the curse, but it means that he will then be cursed, so he won't do it. If you then go over to the Altar of the Nine, you'll be gifted with the power to lift Kellen's curse, where you will then be given the spell Lay Hands. If you go over to Kellen and use the spell on him, you will take the curse from him. You will then be able to pick up the gauntlets. However, the curse now means that your stamina drains more quickly, and if it drops to 0, you will fall over. If you then return to the priory, you will be greeted by Lathon, who states that him and a Sir Roderick were looking for the Crusader relics. He will state that they found the greaves and the sword where Sir Roderick was killed and the sword was taken. He will then gift you with the greaves of the Crusader and tell you where to go to get the sword. If you then go southwest of Bruma, you will then be able to enter the cave, where if you progress all the way through, you'll come across a headless zombie and then you'll be able to find the body of Sir Roderick. If you then continue through the cave, you'll come across the ghost of Sir Beric of Lindrel. Lord Beric is the person who's taken the Crusader's sword. So once you've killed him, make sure you pick up the sword, where you can now leave the cave. You now want to go to the chapel in Chidenal, where it will be under attack and you'll need to defeat all the enemies. If you then take the sword to the altar, you'll be able to reconsecrate it. If you then go back to the priory, you'll be directed to go to the chapel. Inside, if you go over and talk to the prophet, he will give you the blessing of Talos and tell you where Umaril is. If you then go west of Anvil, you can then enter Gallos Malatar. If you work your way through the dungeon, you will then reach this area here where the enemies won't die and they'll keep on regenerating back to life. You need to run straight past them and then come over to this orb over here. Once you destroy it, you'll be able to proceed further through the dungeon. Keep on going until you reach this area here where the stairs will appear in front of you and you'll be able to fight Umaril. He's quite hard to defeat, so make sure you've got health potions with you, where once you've defeated him, you then need to equip the Blessing of Talos, where if you use it, it will take you to a different realm where you'll be able to defeat Umaril's soul. As you can see, mine glitched and spawned 2 Umarils, however you only have to defeat one of them if this happens. Once you do, you'll be teleported back to the priory and you have completed the Knights of the Nine quest.